jaučiu jo apie pasibaigusius Rusų prezidentų rinkimus. Čia NFKRZ.
This is the 2024 Russian presidential election.
Okay.
Yes, guys, that is correct. Russia is currently having its official presidential election from the 15th until the 17th of March. And just on the first day of the election, we already had dozens of cases of Russian citizens either setting ballot boxes or voting booths on fire or ruining the ballots with green dye. And since obviously the election in Russia is always a meticulously crafted fake process, and since all of us know that obviously every single Russian out there is supporting Vladimir Putin, a very fair question arises. What the fuck is happening? What's up, guys? It is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian, and in today's video, guys,
Iš tikrųjų, turbūt reikalauja neįtikėtinai daug drąsos ar, nežinau, atsidavimo, reikalauja eiti ir pažymesti Molotovo kokteilį ar kažką tenais į parašus arba netgi to pačių dažų įpilti. Nes galų gale tu žinai, kad tai nieko nepakeis. Įsivaizduokit, tu puikiai žinai, kad tai nieko nepakeis. Kad tave greičiausiai suims, gal baudą išrašys, gal ten pasodins kuriam laikui, ten, neilgam greičiausiai, bet jeigu tu realiai, kaip žmogus pagalvoja, kad tu save pasitikit tą vietą ir tu vis tiek eini ir darai tą. Tiesiog, kad išreikš savo poziciją, kad fuck this sham. Man tai yra, nežinau, tai yra neįtikėtini tie žmonės, kur vis tiek daro, kai žino, kad jie nieko nepakeis. Ne, jie puikiai žino, ne. Motyvacija greičiausiai yra, kad pakeis, jie puikiai žino, kad nieko nepakeis. Jie vis tiek daro.
We're going to talk about the insanity currently happening at the Russian election. Now, I'm filming this video during the election, but otherwise, guys, I'm pretty sure we already know who's gonna win. The only thing we don't know is...
I guess aš nežinau, kas jų galvoje yra, bet aš labai nustepčiau, jeigu jie galvotų, kad pakeis kažką. Man atrodo, tikrai ne.
Percentage. Is it going to be 98 or 99%? But regardless, guys, yes, I'm pretty sure if you know a thing or two about Russia, I don't need to tell you this, but Russia is not exactly known for having very fair or very honest elections. Every single Russian election in the last 15 years has been exposed for massive voter frauds, and the entire thing is basically just Russia pretending to be a democracy. I don't know why they still do it, but they still do it.
Что показывает незыблемость одного из основных принципов демократического государства. Единственным источником власти в нашей стране является народ.
And obviously currently during the war in Ukraine, the Putin election needs to be extra special. And that is exactly why this time around, opposition candidates that actually wanted to run with the idea of stopping the war in Ukraine were simply not allowed to run. And the only people that actually taken part in this election are essentially puppets of the Kremlin from the fake-controlled opposition. And right now I would say a lot of Russians who don't support Putin, they either boycott the election and either basically ruin their ballots, write Alexei Navalny on it, for example, a lot of people have done that, or they're voting for the candidate Davankov, who is the only sort of vaguely anti-war candidate in the entire election. But if you guys are wondering if I'm going to be voting as a Russian citizen, well, basically, I'm actually in the middle of moving right now. I'm in my old empty apartment in Georgia. And the thing is, Russians actually can vote outside of Russia, but you basically need to come to the Russian embassy. And actually around the world, in many countries of Europe, in Asia, etc., in the United States, there's a ton of Russians coming in to vote, most of them being anti-Putin voters. But essentially, even if I wanted to, I couldn't come in to vote physically because here in Georgia, they don't have diplomatic relations with Russia since the war of 2008. So no Russian embassy, no Russian consulate here. So essentially, my only option would be to vote online, which you can actually do through the legendary Russian app Gosuslugi, which sends people draft letters. But the thing is, when it comes to voting in Russia, it's already a scam. But when it comes to voting online, it's an even bigger scam. In fact, a lot of people in Russia have been reporting that when they tried to go in and vote online, they received an error message saying that you can no longer vote online because you have already received the ballot before. This was posted here by a Russian journalist who tried to see if he can vote online. So essentially, yes, a ton of Russians right now reporting that when they visit in Gosuslugi, it tells them that essentially their vote has already been cast. So
nice.
That is great. And also another great thing that Russia did is that actually they banned people from outside of Russia from accessing this website of this Russian governmental services, right? Even though you could access it with no problem just a few days ago. So essentially Russia is also trying to stop people from outside of Russia, Russian citizens from outside of Russia, those who left Russia, from even trying to vote online in this election. So that's very interesting, you know. It's definitely not an effort to, you know, stop opposition votes. No, it's definitely a strange coincidence. But yes, other than that, another one that I want to show you guys is people in certain regions of Russia have been reporting that supposedly, well, look, I'm gonna just show you the video.
Šitą matėm irgi. Tas neblogas variantas.
So yes, supposedly, right? There's been eyewitnesses coming out saying that when they went to the voting booth, the pen that they were given was actually a pen with disappearing ink. Which I guess we can see here when, you know, he's essentially removing the, you know, the check marks from the ballot by, you know, lighting a lighter. I mean... And there's also this other video that, you know, they're sharing around essentially of the same thing. Look, I don't even know if this is real. Technically, this could be fake. You know, you could print a blank of the election at your home and, you know, do a little prank like this. But, like, at this point, guys, honestly...
Ai, beje, kalbant apie feikus, šiandieną iš YouTube'ės gavau notificationą, kad atsirado naujas optionas pažymėti, ar tavo video yra, kaip jie ten vadina, digitally remastered ar ten tipo augmented, whatever, tipo, ar AI naudoja realiai, kad modifikuoti video ir ten pasirodo tai yra naujausias Europos Sąjungos aktas priimtas, taip vadina Act, AI Act, ir ten realiai klasifikuojam, aš visiškai nesigilinau, gal ir pataisys kas, bet ten maždaug klasifikuoja 4 lygius, tipo, aukštas tipo pavojus, maždaug neigiamai padaryti kažką, žemas ir panašiai. Ir realiai yra guidelinai netgi YouTube'ai, kur aš turiu pažymėti dabar, kad ar aš naudoju kažką tokį ir yra guidelinai, kur reikia, kur ne. Pavyzdžiui, jeigu ten padarai tam tikrą šiaip efektą kažkokį, nereikia. Bet jeigu veidą, pavyzdžiui, pakeiti su jai, tada reikia. Labai tokius niuansus parašė, kas man atrodo yra gan geras sprendimas ir, turės daugiau, man atrodo, gal su laiku netgi padaryti visokių, bet kol kas pasirodė visai nieko, kad bent jau tu jau turėjai pradžiai pats pažymėti. Gal ten paskui ir nuobaudus bus, jeigu ten meluos ar kažką, bet, pradeda kažką darytos toks reguliacijos, kad jo, turės bus pažymėta, ar čia yra AI bent jau technologija naudojama, ar ne, bent jau kol kas, tai jo, pretty good, manau. Kaip sakant, Europa laimi dar kartą.
Is this fake? Maybe. But regardless, it's fucking hilarious anyway, because the election is fake anyway, right? Like, the entire thing is a fucking scam, so, like, at this point, might as well laugh. I just find it hilarious to imagine that this is how elections in Russia work at this point in 2024, when you go in and you vote, and then they just remove your fucking vote and just vote for Putin and put that back in the ballot box. Great. I really have no comments at this point, guys. And there's also been more strange videos coming out of Russia, essentially, that show to us that the process of the election is, just absolutely ridiculous, and it's breaking all of the rules that it's set for itself. For example, a viral video just came out today from one of the voting areas in Russia, where we can see a Russian soldier essentially walking inside of the voting booth while somebody is in there doing their thing, voting, which is supposed to be a confidential, anonymous thing, right? You're walking in there so you can vote for whoever. But yeah, there's this clip of this Russian soldier walking in and, I guess, I don't know, checking what's going on in there and, if the correct vote is being cast. I mean, I don't know, guys. What else kind of reason would he go in there for? These videos are fucking ridiculous.
Šiaip techniškai yra priežasčių, kodėl gal,
Obviously, since a lot of the people actually want to boycott this election, Russia has been promoting the shit out of it.
Čia tą pasakiu, žinai, kad ten rinkimai yra, didelis joke, tam nereikia, I guess, tokių random pavienių klipų iš interneto. Yra daugiau duomenų ir kaip, ir tyrimų, ir visko, žodžiu. Nes tie klipai realiai, kol jie yra smagu, ir turbūt didžioji dauguma jų actually nėra sufeikinti ir viską realiai parodo, ant kiek apgailėtina. Pavyzdžiui, žmonės, kurie degina ir dažus meta. Parodo, ant kiek yra tas mėginimas, bent jau, kaip čia, sunaikintos balsus, ar kažkaip. Bet patys tokie, kur įėjo, pavyzdžiui, į tą bufą. Mes nežinom iš tikrųjų. Gal tenais literally prieš akimirką Molotovo metai šalia ir atėjo patikrinti. gali būti priežastis, kodėl ten nebūtinai, kad atėjo pažiūrėti, ar už teisingą balsuoja. Nes prisiminkit Amerikoje, kas buvo. Voter fraud ir voter fraud ir panašiai. Ir mėtė irgi tokius klipus. Važiuokit, čia dėžė atnešė, čia dar kažką, čia iš bagažinės ištraukė, čia iš pastalo ištraukė. Klipų tokių prikarpyti, bet kam galim, bet kokiam naratyvui ir viskas. Paskui tyrime, kas paaiškėjo, kad nėra jokių įrodymų voter fraudui. Jokių. Visus tos klipus galim paaiškinti viską. Dabar Rusijoje greičiausiai ne visus galės paaiškinti, bet sakau tik tiek, kad mes nežinom, kuris čia teisingas, kuris gal vapšė feikintas, kuris galbūt iš vis nesusijęs su rinkimais gali būti. Tai ir esmė ta, kad tam, kad žinoti, kad rusų rinkimai nėra demokratiški, tam nereikia random klipų iš interneto. Tame čia esmė. O tą žinant, mes galim žiūrėti ir suprasti, ką matom, tiesiog ir tiek, I guess.
For example, currently right now, there's a ton of TikTokers going around recording videos essentially of themselves saying that, well, I'll just play you some.
Утро девушки начинается не с кофе, а с того, что я первый раз в жизни иду голосовать. Первый раз.
So yeah, the text here says, now I've become an adult.
Ребят, знаете, я прям в последнее время очень часто начала замечать, как взрослею. Вот, например, сегодня я иду голосовать, потому что понимаю, что собственноручно влияю на свое будущее. Кстати, я тоже.
Друзья, можете меня все поздравить, потому что сегодня, прямо сейчас, моя жизнь повернется на...
Часто это пропаганда, я.
Я в первый раз в жизни проголосую. Я прямо сейчас еду на выборы. Я стал очень взрослым.
So yes, essentially, once again, this is a classic now. Russia loves paying TikTokers to promote their shit, but obviously all of them were given the exact same fucking thing to say. How adult and like how cool and, you know, how grown up it is to vote in the election and like to think about, you know, this big stuff. So yes, propaganda is pretty bad, but now let's finally get to the big points about, you know, the chaos currently happening in the Russian election. What else can I say, guys? The Russian election is on fire. All I'm gonna do is show you a couple of examples. So here, for example, we have a video from St. Petersburg, Russia, where a young woman has basically threw a Molotov cocktail into one of the voting areas in Russia. So here we go, you can see her throwing and kind of failing to throw the Molotov.
Pala, kaip ten per šūrių konotikus sakė? Už idėją 10, už gyventinimą 2, ar kažkaip ten tas buvo... kur jisai tą klausos aparatą, aš tą klipą žinau, aš nesu pilnu, man atrodo, matęs. Tai čia grinai. 5 ir 2, jo, ne 10, ten turbūt jo 5 ir 2. Bet čia jo grinai toks, idėja gera, okei, bet Molotovą nedametė, nepataikė biškukai, okei.
Molotov cocktail here. Another one right here.
Jie nelabai veiksmingi. Dar vieną mačiau, kur metė per viršų, taip irgi. Ten į moterį pataikė net į nieką.
So yes, this happened in the city of Kogalym in Siberia. This video right here from Moscow, as you can see, once again. So yes, in this video, essentially, an elderly lady set fire to this voting booth, and now, you know, you can see in this video she's getting apprehended by the police right after it. Another one from Sverdlovsk Oblast, where apparently somebody lit something on fire and started a huge fire, again, in another school, which is another place where you can vote. So, yeah, another fire in another school. Here's another one. In Volgograd, a 76-year-old woman has apparently lit up a sort of like a smoke grenade in a voting booth, essentially basically trying to make the entire area kind of uninhabitable, you know, unvotable, essentially obviously to obstruct the process of the election here. We can check out some more less fiery ones. For example, here in the city of Simferopol, which is actually in Crimea, a woman has essentially covered a voting booth in green dye. Here is the aftermath of that. So she basically ruined the ballots that were inside there. Another case like this in Kaliningrad, where a elderly Russian woman was again apprehended while dyeing, essentially ruining ballots with green dye. This is Altai Republic, once again, yet another case of the same exact thing. Once again, you can see here they kind of stopped her before she could do it, but yes. And this one became like the most popular, the most famous one, because she really like She really went for it.
Čia normaliai sriubą padarė.
In Moscow, this happens. Another, green dye incidents. Once again, here's another situation like this in Volgograd region of Russia. And actually this, fiery show is not only happening just in Russia, but also even outside of Russia in the places where you can vote in the election. For example, here, apparently what happened is that in Chisinau, Moldova, a person tried to run into the Russian embassy and light something on fire with like a cocktail Molotov or something. So, this is fucking insane. Just absolutely insane. So now I know what you guys are gonna be saying, especially if you're a Westerner, if you don't know that much about this stuff. You're probably gonna comment something along the lines of, these brave Russians standing up for freedom, shout outs to them. The people are finally fed up and they finally have had enough of the dictatorship of Putin, so now they're, going rogue for the election. Well, the thing is, it's actually not that simple, because with these cases of, so to say, vandalism of the election, right? The truth is that there are people who are doing this out of their own volition and as a sort of a process move, right? However, there are also people who are doing this because they have literally been ordered to by phone scammers. Yes, guys, I know that might sound ridiculous. I mean, why would you do something like this, especially as like an elderly person? Why would you throw Molotov cocktails or try to set something on fire? Well, basically, this has been going on in Russia for a while now, where Russians have been actually setting military draft offices in Russia on fire on the order of phone scammers. Now, once again, there are Russians who are doing this stuff out of their own volition as a sort of a process or sort of a partisan move, right? However, most people that end up doing this stuff are literally elderly people who get tricked by phone scammers. I'll show you guys what I mean.
Житель поджег крыльцо военкомата на улице Чайковского. На видео заметно, как мужчина кидает коктейль Молотова в дверь военкомата и убегает. Подозреваемый задержан. Это житель Петербурга Александр Перов, ему 53 года.
Подозреваемому якобы поступали звонки на мобильный, а также WhatsApp от человека, который представился сотрудником ФСБ Колесниковым. Он предложил устроить провокацию, облить дверь военкомата бензином и поджечь. Сотруднику нужно было якобы получить некоторые документы из военкомата, связанные с Украиной.
С середины июля Александра Перова заставили взять несколько кредитов. И тот, кто представился ему сотрудником ФСБ, заявил, что спишет мужчине все долги, но за это нужно будет поджечь военкомат.
So yes, you guys understand what's happening here. Essentially, this is real. And I don't even understand how the fuck this happens, but yes, Russians, who are absolutely regular people, and there's actually a section in this news segment here that says that he's actually not a person that was known to have like a stance against the war in Ukraine and was like not a person who was like super anti-Putin or anything, right? But this guy went in and set a military draft office in Russia on fire, and he's obviously probably now under a criminal investigation. This guy's going to prison because he was essentially being pranked, apparently for months also, on the phone by somebody pretending to be an FSB agent, who also claimed that he will be able to essentially remove all the debts and loans that the person currently has on him. So essentially, this is currently what's happening, and this is happening en masse. Boomer Russians who, just don't know better are literally getting called up by, it could be anybody, a person pretending to be somebody from a governmental institution or from a bank or something. And essentially what they tell these elderly, gullible people is that you need to basically go and, set this or that on fire, and what we will do is that we will remove all of your loans and all of your, problems, financial issues that you have. And obviously, since Russia is a country where a ton
Beje, Karaliau, kokia tavo nuomonė, ar Rusijos žmonės reikia skirti nuo Rusijos valdžios? Aš pastebiu, kad mažumos, kurie priešinasi režimui, dažnai lieka nepastebėtos. Aš manau, kad reikia. Ir tipo esmė ta, kad žiūrim, kokį tikslą norės pasiekti, bet Rusija niekur nedings ir Rusai niekur nedings. Čia yra turbūt didžiausia ta problema. Ir šitas karas po 5 ar 10 metų baigsis ir gal ir trečias kažkada baigsis. Jeigu bus karas, tikėkime nebus, bet kažkada gal baigsis, žinai. Kažkada galbūt ir Putiną nuvers ir panašiai. Koks tikslas yra? Ar viena, jie egzistuoja, žinai. Tai koks tikslas mūsų techniškai turėtų čia būti? Ar tiesiog visiškai visus rusus sunaikinti? Čia nesąmonė. Čia yra genocidas ir čia yra nesąmonė. Jeigu jūs esate už tokią poziciją, jūs genocidas norit padaryti. Čia neįmanoma tokią poziciją palaikyti. Kokia kita? Idealiausiu atveju. Pasikeičia režimas, Ir kažkaip Rusija po truputį ir jo žmonės judini link demokratiško pasaulio. Taip, čia būtų idealiausias variantas. Dabar, ar tai yra įmanoma? Čia jau kitas klausimas, bet turbūt toks idealiausias variantas. Tai būtų, kai jie bent jau nustotų puldinėti ir mes greičiausiai niekad nesutarsim ten ar politiškai ir ideologiškai, bet bent jau iki tokio lygio, kad nustotų puldinėti šalis ir galėtų, tai ką būt, tarkim. Ok, jeigu toks mūsų tikslas yra. Man atrodo, toks tikslas pasiekiamas tik kažkaip kaip čia, kur yra lasdar, kaip ten yra tas posakis, nesvarbu, kažkaip, kad tu turėsi vieną kažkokią dieną tiem žmonėm gyvenimą pagerinti, kad jie norėtų eiti į tą pusę bent jau, nes jeigu jie tą pusę demokratijos ar vakarų matys tiesiog tuos, kurie iš jų literally blokuoja ir maistą visą atėmė, tai tada tu niekad nepaeis tavo pusę. Tai jo, jeigu toks tikslas būtų, vieną dieną tau reikės actually parodyti jiems, kad demokratija gali geriau veikti ir kad jų gyvenimas gali pagerėti. Dabar, kad tas atsitiktų, tam tu turi turėti vietos, kad jų visų nenukryžiuot už tai, kad jie kažkada netgi palaikė Putiną ar tuometinę valdžią ar kažką. Dabar karo metu dar kol vyksta, greičiausiai nėra daug pokalbio, dabar karas vyksta, bet kažkiek vietos, man atrodo, turi būti tam, kad kažkada galėtum bent jau, kad turėtų, nes, jeigu mes nukryžiuotum kiekvieną už durną poziciją, 99% lietuvių būtų nukryžiuoti, nes, sakau, žmonės yra tokie patys visur ir lietuvių yra dahuja tokių pačių debilų, lygiai taip pat propagandai pasiduodančių žmonių kaip Rusijai. Tik lietuviam pasisekė, kad jie geroj lokacijai gimė, I guess. Bet realiai lygiai taip pat patiki propagandą. Gal, tarkim, lietuviai gal biškas paresnė, nes Sovietų Sąjungai priklausė, gal vos žinai. Bet techniškai žmonės yra patiklus dalbajobai ir nemasto, žodžiu, tai jeigu vien už tai teistumėm, už ką rusus, paprastą rusą teis, kai jis ten palaiko politinę partiją, tūpa. Tai ar ten politika tūpa, ar dar kažką, nes jisai pats tūpasi, nesigaudo ir nesidomi ir panašiai. Tai sakau, kas antrą lietuvį turbūt pagal tą patį reiktų nuteisti ir kas antrą Europos gyventojų ir panašiai. Tai tas iškart turėtų atkristi. Man atrodo, tikrai turi būti kažkoks atskirimas. Ir gal ne karo dabar laiku, bet bent jau palikti vietos mintyse, kad kažkada vieną dieną turės. Jeigu tikslas, kažkaip padaryti Rusiją demokratinę šalį. Jeigu ne, tada einam Šiaurės Korėjos keliu, visiškai užsidarom, visiškai izoliuojam, visas ginklus nutaikom jos ir tik kažkas, tipo, aš nežinau, mums reikia Šiaurės Korėjos tokio dydžio branduolinės jėgos vadu, žinai, aš nemanau, kad tai sustainable yra ir net nežinau, ar čia būtų moralu net, bet anyway, gerai, dabaigiam tą video.
Of people that live in, not very affluently and they have to live paycheck to paycheck. They have a lot of loans, so this is a pressing issue for a lot of people. Here's another case of how this works.
Похожая история с кредитом произошла и в Можайске. Там задержана 45-летняя Татьяна Халюсева. Ее тоже подозревают в том, что она подожгла военкомат. Сама она рассказала, что перед поджогом ей позвонили неизвестные под видом сотрудников Сбербанка.
Сегодня утром мошенники позвонили женщине, представившись сотрудниками банка, и заявили, что прямо в этот момент находится мужчина, который пытался взять кредит на ее имя. Для решения был предложен странный вариант – облить стекла военного комиссариата жидкостью для розжига, чтобы выкурить мужчину из помещения.
So yes, this has been happening for a while now with, Russian military draft offices being set on fire. However, this is also now happening at the election. So you might have noticed that a lot of the people who were setting stuff on fire in these videos were essentially elderly ladies who usually don't look like the type of people to make such radical actions or decisions, right? So I just showed you guys this video of a Russian lady who apparently lit up like a smoke grenade or something like that. This is the 2024 Russian presidential election. This is the 2024
okay.
Russians who are absolutely regular people, and there's actually a section in this and they have to live paycheck to paycheck. And stuff on fire in these videos were essentially elderly ladies who usually don't look like the type of people to make such radical actions or decisions, right? So I just showed you guys this video of a Russian lady who apparently lit up like a smoke grenade or something like that.
Manoma, kad viskas yra fake, bet...
And this is what she said.
Pasirodo, čia ne pirmas atvejis.
Я говорю, что это, я что, взрывы? Нет, говорится, там никаких взрывов не будет, там только дым будет. И все. За это обещали закрыть мой кредит.
So yes, literally this grandma said that she got a call saying that if she does this, she basically lights up, you know, I don't even know how smoke grenades work, okay? Basically, if she does something with a smoke grenade, her loans and, you know, her financial debts will be removed from her. So this is what's happening. For example, here you...
Tarsi, aš niekada nebuvau apie tai girdėjęs, bet man atrodo tikrai galim sakyti, kad tikrai vyksta tokie, babutės lengvai įkalbinti belen kokias nesąmonės. Žiūrėkit, kaip babučių už Nausėdą balsavo ir dabar už Vaitkų balsuos. Tai tipo, bet čia biškai extreme gal versija, bet visai believable. Ir čia panašu, kad jau kurį laiką vyksta tokie dalykai, tipo, kad jo phones kameriai tokius dalykus priverčia daryti. Dabar pats phones kameriai, ten kokios jų motivacijos, tačiau kitas klausimas, bet jo.
You can see another video where a woman is essentially being stopped from Putin die on the ballots, which once again, we don't know what her motivation is here. And unfortunately what happens is that, well, these grandmas that are going out there, you know, and lighting these ballot boxes or whatever on fire, I don't even care about the fucking ballot boxes, right? I care about the babushkas. Now, these babushkas that are going out there to, you know, light this shit on fire, they actually are essentially putting themselves on trial to go to prison, because the Russian government starts criminal cases against these people now, just willy-nilly, obviously for the military draft offices, and also for this now, because they're like obstructing Russia's, you know, very democratic election or whatever the fuck. And yes, some of these grandmas who are basically, yes, they don't know better, but honestly, guys, look, most old people are not technically literate or whatever, right? A lot of old people, and like, I'm sure old people in your family could be tricked the exact same way. And now these babushkas are like actually going to prison for doing this. So like, yes, on the one side, it's fun to look at the chaos going on in the Russian election or whatever, right? However, on the other side, regular-ass people, especially elderly people who are, you know, easily exploited, unfortunately, right? These babushkas are the people who end up doing this stuff, and essentially it completely destroys their lives. Now, the thing is, we can't really know where these calls are coming from. I'm gonna go out on a whim here and say it's very possible that they could be coming from Ukraine or Russia itself, also from certain groups within Russia trying to, you know, bring about a little bit of a chaos to this election, you know. Some groups that are essentially working within Russia against Putin's government, right? Or it could be very possibly Ukrainian operatives, for example, because the reason why I believe this is not far-fetched to believe, in my opinion, is because, well, in Russia, actually, all the time, and this is like a meme now, that most of the time when you get a spam phone call on your phone, essentially from like Sberbank, the biggest Russian bank, saying that, you know, whatever, you have like a debt, or like your card is about to, like, you know, essentially the classic fucking phone scammer when they call you and ask you to, you know, give them your card info. And of course, obviously, you know, elderly people usually do that, because a lot of them, they just don't know better. But basically, the thing is that a lot of these spam callers calling in and...
Jisai išvarė iš Rusijos, jis jau kurį laiką čia nesenai darė video, tai jis net nebe Rusijai, tai tikėkime nedings, nes šiaip labai pamėgau aš šitos video, jau kurį laiką mes čia žiūrim streamę. Bet jo, jis išsinežino iš ten, YouTube'as karjerą jam leido tą padaryti.
Essentially pretending to be Sberbank staff, a lot of these, you know, prank callers are actually based in Ukraine, because technically, you know, nothing can really even be done to them. And this has been like a classic meme and a story for a while about, you know, the Ukrainians working in Sberbank. So again, I'm not making an accusation or whatever, but I do think it is possible. But either way, again, I don't care about a few ballots being ruined. And once again, yes, seeing the chaos is a little fun. I'm not going to lie. But yes, at the end of the day, when I think about these grandmas that essentially tricked, I understand you could be tricked into like giving your card info to a fucking scammer, but like, how can you be tricked into being forced to throw a Molotov cocktail?
Yeah,
how does this happen? Because like the separation from taking a phone call to fucking lighting up a Molotov cocktail and throwing it in a governmental institution is there's a little bit of a gap there, right? I don't know how this happens, but I guess it just shows to us that a lot of people in Russia are very gullible, and just like a lot of people around the world, really. But yes, I guess now we can see a case of where, you know, the aloofness of like the average Russian citizen, or I guess of the average elderly person, you know, the lack of knowledge of, you know, the system or technology is not just used by the Russian government to essentially, you know, rule forever, but now also these things are used by some other actors with different, you know, goals to essentially create chaos and set this entire election on fire. So yeah, I just don't understand how the fuck something like this happens, but once again, I do feel sad for the grandmas, and I don't know, I really don't know how to feel about this. Just the things that are happening in Russia these days are fucking insane, and this by far might be the most insane election Russia has ever had in its entire history. And yes guys, what can I say? What is more indicative of the stability and the progress and the success of Putin's Russia than this absolute chaos at the Russian election? Surely this is a country where everything is going great, and surely this is a country that needs to have Putin rule it for the next 60 fucking 70 years. Oh my god, just fucking kill me. I guess this is going to be pretty much it for today's video though. If you guys did enjoy my little skit...
Okay, viskas.
Nuskink man jis